Just watch me. That's the title of this speech. For a lot of people, it's an expression that doesn't have that much meaning. It's just, hey, look at me. I'm pretty, or I'm smart, or I'm here, or I'm great. Of course, the stable genius. No, I'm ironic. Just watch me is an expression deeply rooted in the 70s in Canadian politics. What happened in the 70s? In the 70s, even a show Romanian guy I saw some documentaries about. I was impressed. I'm still impressed. It was a crisis in October. That's what it is called. It is called the October crisis. Um, it refers to a chain of events that started in October 1970 when members of a certain organization, terrorist organization in Quebec, kidnapped the provincial deputy premier Pierre Laporte and British diplomat, a foreign diplomat in Canada, James Cross, at his Montreal residence. These events saw the Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau invoking the War Measures Act for the first time in the Canadian history during peacetime. The Premier of Quebec and the Mayor of Montreal supported Trudeau's invocation of the War Measures Act, which limited civil liberties, granted the police far-reaching powers, allowing them to arrest and detain almost 500 people. Yes, 500 people. However, we have to be very clear that these terrorist organizations, they put more than 200 bombs and they kidnapped a foreign diplomat and the deputy premier, Pierre Laporte. Pierre Laporte later on was killed. There were negotiations and Mr. James Cross was released. How can you sit and watch these kind of things, enjoy your coffee, as the ruler of a country, elected by the people, for the people, democratically elected, and allow these kind of things to happen? What kind of country that one when foreign diplomats can be kidnapped? Of course, there were a need of strong measure, and strong measures were taken. At the time, opinion polls in Quebec and throughout Canada showed widespread support for the usage of the War Measures Act. The response was criticized by politicians like René Lévesque and Tommy Douglas. Unfortunately, shamefully. That was the October crisis 1970 in Canada, in French Canada. What is the expression "just watch me"? Just watch me is a phrase made famous by Canadian Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, the father of the actual Prime Minister of Canada, on October 13, 1970 during the October crisis. The term is still regularly used in the Canadian political discussions. Trudeau, the father, who had in previous years been a strong proponent of civil liberties. Everything I saw about this man, well-read, bilingual, well-traveled, with a wide view of the world, Not like we have in North America people that are so proud that they don't have a passport. They haven't been outside the United States of America. This is not a sign of being patriotic. This is a sign of being narrow-minded and having no idea of the rest of the world. How can you be on top of a power, world power, when you have no idea of the rest of the world is beyond my understanding. Yet, it did happen, not only once. So, Mr. Pierre Trudeau had been in previous year a strong proponent of civil liberties. This time spoke of the need of drastic action to restore order in Quebec. When questioned by a CBC reporter, Tim Ralph, on how far he would go in suspension of civil liberties to maintain order, Trudeau replied, "Well, just watch me." 3 days later, he invoked the War Measures Act, which led to police action against many Quebec dissidents and great public controversy. We have public controversy today to wear a mask, a piece of cloth and this and that, not to sneeze, hop, chew, and spread microparticles in the air that might or might not contain a virus that might be deadly or not might be deadly. But today, when we don't have controversy, there are people that is their job to create controversy. As I gave example, if you drink tea, they will ask you, why don't you drink coffee? If you drink coffee, they will ask you, why don't you drink tea? If you drink, I said I have tea, I have coffee, say, why don't you drink milk? You cannot live like that. We cannot live in this kind of society when everything is a controversy. Everything, every action has a reaction all the time, artificially. When words have no meaning, are deflated of their meaning. I grew up with Ceausescu time when one of his favorite expression, we call it wooden language at that moment, and it was, let's do everything possible for the well-being of the people. And in the same hour, we didn't have enough food, we didn't have enough gas, we didn't have electricity, we didn't have a lot of basic kind of things. After 1985 to 89 it was. How would you do everything possible for the well-being of the people? We know it's what we call wooden language, words that lost any kind of meaning. Nobody was listening to that bullshit anymore. We're tired of empty speeches. I talked about that in today's international politics. We are tired. I am tired. I am tired of empty speeches. Metaphor, empty words, threats from the left to the right. I'm tired of that. There is here the context. Always the context is very important. The context gives most of the time the real meaning. The reporter, Mr. Prime Minister, what you're talking about to me is choices, and my choice is to live in a society that is free and democratic, which means that you don't have people with guns running around it. Pierre Trudeau, that's correct. Ralph, or Ralphie. And one of things I have to give up for the choice is the fact that people like you may be kidnapped. Trudeau, sure, but it isn't my choice, obviously. You know, I think it is more important to get rid of those who are committing violence against the total society and those who are trying to run the government through a parallel power. So there was a deep state, a parallel state in the 1970s, Actually, in that particular moment, it was undeniable a terrorist organization committing acts of terror there, planting bombs, kidnapping people, and murdering authorities. That's obviously unacceptable in any kind of society. Those who are trying to run the government through a parallel power by establishing their authority by kidnapping and blackmail. I think it is our duty as a government to protect government officials and important people in our society against being used as tools in this blackmail. Now you don't agree to this, but I'm sure that once again, with hindsight, you'd probably have found it preferable if Mr. Cross and Mr. Laporte have been protected from kidnapping, which they weren't because these steps weren't taken now. But even with your hindsight, I don't see how you can deny that. The reporter, no, I still go back to the choice that you have to make in the kind of society that you live in. Trudeau, the father, yeah. Well, there is a lot of bleeding hearts around who just don't like to see people with helmets and guns. All I can say is go and bleed, but it's more important to keep law and order in this society than to be worried about a weak-kneed people who don't like the looks of a soldier helmet. At any cost, the reporter asked, how far would you go with that? How far would you extend that? Pierre Trudeau, well, just watch me. At reducing civil liberties, to what extent? To what extent what? Well, if you extend these and you say, okay, you are going to do anything to protect them, does this include wiretapping, reducing other civil liberties in some way? Yes, I think the society must take every means at its disposal to defend itself against the emergence of a parallel power which defies the elected power in this country. And I think that goes to any distance. So long as there is a power in where which is challenging the elected representative of the people. This is the most important part of the entire interview to me. Not the soundbite, just watch me. As long there is a power in here which is challenging the elected representative of the people. What was that? In America, legitimate political discourse? In J6 attack? Not in a million fucking years that was not legitimate political discourse. That was a power that was challenging the elected representative of the people. It's exactly what it was. As the truckers in Canada. There is no surprise that Donald Trump loved the truckers. Oh, wonderful people. They are both sides good people. Yes. No surprise here. So long as there is a power in here which is challenging the elected representative of the people, I think that power must be stopped. And I think it's only, I repeat, weak-kneed, bleeding hearts who are afraid to take those measures. Yes, that was an interview. The interview and the context of Just Watch Me in the 1970s. These articles are updated as in March 2013, Trudeau's son, Justin, while running for the Liberal Party leadership, evoked his father's memory during his campaign by repeating this phrase. It was an answer to a fellow airplane passenger question in a handwritten note asking Justin if he could beat Conservative Prime Minister Stephen Harper. For the record, I did voted for Prime Minister Stephen Harper. I thought he had the right plan for Canada at that particular moment after 2008 and all the craziness. The Liberal Party was talking about global warming with a teacher that came from Britain who had no fucking idea the ground floor of Canadian politics, of Canadian life. They were fucking dreaming. It was a pipe fucking dream. Oh, global warming, this and that. Global warming is very important. By first and foremost, a sure Romanian guy worked hard, 3 jobs at months in Canada to buy his first house. And my first house was about to lose the value. I don't know if I would have been able to keep the jobs and pay the mortgage. And they were talking pipe fucking dreams, smoking pot kind of talk. Those liberals with Mr. Teacher at that moment. That's why I thought Stephen Harper was undeniable, way down to earth. I understand right, left, for me it was about the economy, stupid. Okay? It was about the economy. So, Mr. Justin, the Liberal Party leadership evoked his father's memory during his campaign by repeating this phrase. It was an answer to a fellow aeroplane passenger question in a handwritten note asking Justin if he could beat Conservative Party Prime Minister Stephen Harper. The comment sparked a frenzy on Twitter as well as mixed reaction from several commentators, some of whom saw the quote as a politically sensitive and risky one in Quebec. There are a lot of sensitive and risky things in Quebec. There are a lot of sensitive and risky things in Alberta. Some Albertans think they should be completely independent. More Alberta, less Ottawa. And at a certain point, I think it's right. At a certain level, I think it's absolutely right, as too many times in Ottawa, there are Quebec millionaires that they have no idea how a cow looks like. But there are limits to that. As a younger individual and young newcomer, fresh newcomer immigrant, I never understood. And how could I? I don't know the history. I don't know the tradition. I never lived in Quebec. How could I understand? Yet, from an eagle eye perspective, from a pale dot kind of perspective, from far away, I never understood this fight to break Canada, that amazingly beautiful and meaningful country in the world. Meaningful. Canada is bringing most of the time meaning with their values around the world. There is a need for Canadian values around the world. I never understood why they cannot live peaceful coexistence, understand each other, coexist one with another, as I think Canada bilingual with the French and the British part and all the other minorities and immigrants from all over the world is more beautiful, is more meaningful, is more rich. Why would you like to break something good that you have there? I don't understand. Especially in my limited understanding, the economy of Quebec cannot sustain itself, but these are details already. I never understood that kind of movement. In a world of integration, look at the European Union. To break things in small pieces, you are, as much as you break things, countries, families, societies, companies in smaller pieces, you are less and less relevant on a world of where the big blocks of geopolitics are integrating and allying themselves. It is common sense. You don't have to be a political genius. Even a guy who came in Canada with a minimum plus kind of education, actually I have a higher education, 6 years of university, cleaning carpets in Canada as a starting job. I am I was grateful for the opportunity. It was an honest job. I was respected. I was paid honestly. My overtime was paid. I was treated with respect. No complaint about that period. But even in that situation, you can understand that obviously a united Canada, whole Canada, is meaningful to the world and more beautiful, with the French part, with the English-speaking part, and as it is. Two years later, Justin Trudeau became Prime Minister of Canada, beating Harper in a federal election by a significant margin. On September 12, 2021, Justin Trudeau said the NDP leader, Jagmeet Singh, could not go after Canada's wealthiest people with unlimited zeal in response to his party's campaign promise to tax the rich. Of course, never tax the fucking rich. Always tax Leo the Tyler. You know? Tax it to the oblivious. Tax Leo the Tyler. Oh my god, I have 2 boxes with shoe boxes, you know? I was selling shoes. I have shoe boxes. Oh, with where are my shoe boxes? The tenants made destroy my house and flooded my basement where I have all my belongings there. But the rich, never touch the rich. In Canada, in America, no, 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 no. Don't hate the rich because they are rich. But if they don't pay the fucking taxes, tax the fucking rich. Tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. Why Joe the plumber should pay the taxes in Canada if the rich don't pay the taxes in Canada? Exactly like Joe the plumber. Do they have 4 fucking balls? The rich? I played a documentary how the rich go to a bank and they have very, 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 very special treatment to set up accounts across the seas and make sure they don't get taxed. It's disgusting even to talk about this subject. The policemen that put their life in danger every day, they are taxed, right? They pay their taxes. The teachers, they pay their taxes. The drill workers, the guys that go in the field and work at 40 degrees when you throw water in. There were videos on YouTube how it is in the field at minus 40. You throw water in the air, and by the time the water goes to the ground, it's completely frozen. I cannot work in that kind of conditions, yet they are doing this every year. All of these are taxed, but the rich, oh my god, don't tax the rich. Oh, just don't fucking tax the rich. Not with unlimited zeal. At the extent of the law, like all the other people. It's not a witch hunt. It is a hunt for justice, social justice. And the NDP leader responded on Twitter with the same line. Just watch me. And here it is. In response to the Freedom Convoy 2022, some commentators called for Justin Trudeau to have a just watch me moment in his own, and he enacted the Emergency Measures Act for the first time in Canadian history. Good for you! Logical move. Especially the context, the history. Makes a lot of sense to me. And to the Canadian people, which is more important. One important difference. In 2022 is not 1970. There were no people being kidnapped. There are no people. There are no bombs. There are no terrorists. There is no terrorist organization. So obviously the response is different. Should be different, and it is different. I watched the TV. There was the police acted with consideration for the truckers. Yet the truckers, I don't know what the fuck the truckers are for. Freedom, freedom, it's our freedom. We want to be free, free from mandates. The mandates, the reality is, I said, okay, free. The reality is, I looked into it, 80% are already vaccinated. So mandates for being vaccinated. Oh, you don't push me to get, you don't order me to get vaccinated. But 80% of them, they are already vaccinated. So what we are talking about, the other 20%, freedom, freedom. This is a type of world that now I can wash my shoes with it. Okay? Means fucking nothing. Everybody use the word freedom as you want. In any context, in any situation, it's disgusting, insulting, and ridiculous for the one that really fought for freedom in Canada, in America, in Romania, in Europe, and around the world. It's an insult to use the word freedom this way. I talked many times like that about that. Our freedom, or your freedom to what? To block other people's freedom, to disrupt other people's businesses, to block bridges of strategic importance. This is not freedom. This is a way to disrupt the society. This is a way to disrupt the government. This is a way to disrespect democracy. Oh, Donald Trump loves us. Okay, go to Donald Trump and love him back. Legit political discourse, J6. That's what Donald Trump is, the way when you turn things upside down. A violent attack on democracy, the most violent attack on democracy in the United States of America in my lifetime. They call it legitimate political discourse. No, they call it ordinary citizen engage in legitimate political discourse. I have a question. Ordinary citizen, are they dressed in complete military gear when they go to Tim Horton to have they walk in line, they are paramilitary trained, they have camps to know how to, when they go and have a double at the Tim Horton and a brownie that I call my doggy brownie because of that brownie from Tim Horton I used to have in the morning. Hmm? Or a muffin. These are the ordinary citizens. On the contrary, in Canada, I saw them going sometimes hilarious to me, dressed in their own pajamas. I think they were the ordinary citizens. Just woke up. I said, "Oh, let's go and get a coffee." It's okay. I'm Canadian. It's allowed. Let's go there. I would rather prefer this kind of ordinary political citizens, no, ordinary citizens, than the legit political discourse of attacking law and order, asking metaphorically, of course, to hang Mag Pence and looking for Nancy like in a Hollywood stupid, violent, and terror kind of movie. Oh, with Jack Nicholson, Who fucking cares? So, Canada is big. I'm Canadian. I speak with a strong accent from Eastern Europe. I'm still Canadian. I drink any kind of beer. Hockey is our game and will be forever our game. And the rest, go and fuck yourself. No, Argo, fuck yourself.